gavel.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of September 23rd, the time being 6:01. We have a few things on our agenda this evening. The first we'll start with will be the minutes from September 9th. Any corrections, additions, deletions? Mrs. Rebelli?
Just one regarding iParent and notification to parents what students are in what classrooms. It said here that, some of our schools still hand out notifications. I don't know that that's true. I was just wondering, is that something that could still continue to happen? But if somebody knows if that is true,
Certainly in the elementary grades, I believe it does.
in the elementary school it does happen? Okay.
I would just clarify that on the minutes, if we could just add that it's elementary, if that's okay. Anything else? Entertain a motion to approve?
So moved?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? I have 5 in favor. These meeting minutes are passed. Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda, we have our school committee calendar for 2013, 2014. Superintendent and I met this morning. We were the earliest chair and superintendent in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to meet this morning, and I appreciate that at 6:45. So we took a look at the calendar, and we have, I guess, decided that the October 7th meeting, we will post. So what I will do for town meeting is we will waive that 6:30 meeting. We'll only have it if we absolutely need it, but I think we can have our discussion for October 7th and then just meet in the auditorium of the high school for 7 o'clock for our October town meeting. Does anyone have any questions or any other suggestions in regard to meeting dates? Okay, I would like to have a motion to approve this calendar, if I may.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, so we will post the 7th. Okay, going down our list, I'd like to call our high school principal, Mr. Wells, forward. And Mr. Wells is going to update us on the fragrance-free policy. Everyone should have a copy in their packet of the current and proposed.
What we're looking to do is to add an addendum to our handbook. Once again, we have found this year, although we acted in a very positive direction last year in terms of providing a fragrance-free policy, students continue, and it's not malicious, but for example, after physical education, the perfume, the Axe spray comes out, and we have a couple students that are extremely asthmatic, and it sends them into respiratory distress. So what I'm looking for is your permission to put a little bit more bite into the handbook with the fragrance-free policy. If you look to the left in the yellow box, it goes over into the text to the right. On the first one, it says asked. We're looking to replace it with may not bring. Identified as a fragrance-free, the next one down, I'd like to add in non-spray aerosol. When you go down to the following, replace with expects, that would go to request. And then if you take a look at refrain from using, will not use. And then at the bottom, essentially, anyone caught using it, it will be very similar to using a phone. Of course, not the same analogy because this is life-threatening. However, it will be removed, taken away from that particular student. If it is malicious, like we have done in the past, we will follow our discipline code, and students will be suspended if necessary.
Okay.
So it's essentially verbiage with a bite that I'm looking to add into the handbook.
What are you doing now? Are you confiscating it now?
It's, as you can imagine, there's not an awful lot of schools that have this. It's very difficult to police. We have not confiscated any because, for example, I use the cell phone. With a cell phone, a student has it out. Normally, if they're in the locker room, it's a spray and go, whether it's perfume, whether it's, they don't read the label, they don't have it out for an extended period of time. So at least this way, students will know, and I'll be doing an all-call, should you certainly approve this, to make sure that the parents are aware of the policy and the ramifications of it. But it's very difficult. So to answer your question explicitly, no, we have not, because teachers have not been provided the opportunity to do that through a handbook.
Okay. Any
But we
questions?
will.
Any questions from the committee? Mr. Coonan?
Thank you, Ms. Ennis. Through you to Mr. Wells. Mr. Wells, I applied the policy. This has probably been about 6-7 months. They've been working on this, and you really showed a lot of vigilance with that. And part of it is, I think you alluded to, is the education part, where the staff educating the students. You just can't have this in school. And you used the analogy of a cell phone. It's going to be similar to that. Hey, put it away. You can't have it. You can't have it, and not work. Now, when it is confiscated, would it be released back to a
parent.
custodian, or be?
No, a parent would have to come in for it, because much like a telephone, some of the colognes and perfumes that are out there are $100 plus. So, and then on the second offense, it would be a different story in terms of discipline. So oftentimes, kids don't even think. So to educate them is going to be really, really important. But the fact of the matter is, there are 400 plus students in this building, and whether it's 1 or 100, someone's life could depend on this. So I think kids, just by nature, don't take it as seriously as they need to.
And I'm sure, again, Ms. Ennis, if I may,
Yes.
sure with the parents, when the parents are gonna come in complaining, they had to get out of work early to come back in, to come in and grab the kid's bottle of perfume or
Right.
cologne or what have you, that they're not gonna be too happy walking through that door. And I think the education that you have in this is gonna help show the parent that this is a serious problem. It's
We're
not
hoping
just
so.
inconvenience. Very good, thank you.
On that same vein, what is it are you doing now to educate the students and staff and explaining this policy to them?
Well, it's in the handbook. It's been announced. I usually go 3 weeks into the school year before I have an all-school meeting to address some of the things that seem to be relatively popular for each given year in a negative way. So that will be coming up either the end of this week or the beginning of next week, so I will address it then. And again, it will be on the all-call, but it is in the handbook now. It just doesn't have the same teeth, and of course, we're collecting the handbook signature pages from everyone, solidifying and verifying, more importantly, that they have read the handbook and have signed it.
And if this is passed, you'll post this on the web?
Absolutely, it'll be changed tomorrow. See, our handbook is on our main webpage, so it'll be changed tomorrow.
Okay. Any
Madam-
other?
Madam Chair?
Yes, please, go ahead, Mrs. Walker.
I have a suggestion.
Okay?
In that last paragraph, it says, "will not use," and then after the second comma, I recommend that you use that same phraseology. Otherwise, it could be a little confusing, because it says, "using scented body sprays." I think
Which paragraph?
the last paragraph in the proposed, the second line, in red, it says "will not use." I recommend that that same phrase be used after that second comma, "will not use scented body sprays."
Okay,
It just sounds stronger.
sure. Thank you.
Anything else, Mrs. Gaucher?
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. Mr. Wells, when this is amended, will the students have to re-sign the handbook?
No, they will not have to re-sign it. We'll contact the parents by phone. It's pretty tedious to get all the signatures as it is. We're still in the process of doing that. So we will notify the students and the parents. I'll do that in all school assembly. We'll do it via the internet. It'll be up on our page. It'll also be a focal point, so it won't just be inserted into the handbook. It'll have, change the fragrance-free policy right on our main page.
Thank you.
If you're not going to have anything signed, I'm just going to suggest that when you do your all-call and you put out any notices, that you state something to cover us for that. Because if they're not signing for it, they always can turn around and say, I didn't know about it, I didn't see it, I didn't sign for it, just to cover, because if we don't have any coverage, it loses all of its flavor here. So I don't know how you would handle that, if you're not gonna gather signatures. But you've got it, we've addended the policy, and something to the effect of, if you've already signed the handbook, just so you know, this is now the new
Now, we'll make that
policy.
perfectly clear, but,
Okay,
quite frankly, it's, the verbiage in here is just stronger.
Right,
It doesn't
right.
say may not, it says will not.
yeah,
And certainly first offense, someone that did it by, without thinking, because it's just kind of a impulsive behavior, quite frankly. We would address it appropriately like we do with an awful lot of other things.
good, okay. Anything else? Okay, ask for a motion to, let's see, accept the fragrance-free policy. It's new language, and I would waive any further reading, if everybody is good with this.
So move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5 in favor. This will be the new policy. Thank you for your work on this, Mr. Wells.
Thank you for approving that, I appreciate it.
Now, it seems you have some gentlemen with you that are visiting.
I have 3 of my best friends with me this evening.
Well, we'd like them to be our best friends, too.
Over the course of the last year and a half, I started my conversation with John Dyer, the gentleman in the middle, and John and I have gone back and forth, whether it be email or phone calls, because one day I said to him, can students that haven't graduated from high school actually get into your program? And he said, absolutely not. I said, well, why not? He said, because we don't want to encourage kids to drop out. I said, have you ever thought of it this way? We have articulation agreements with Nichols College, with Quinsigamond Community College. We have students that go to the College of the Holy Cross at night, and I'm able to give them dual credit. So that began a whole thought process that went through the entire company. I had the good fortune of going down to their main headquarters in Connecticut. The purpose of tonight is so that you can understand Porter and Chester, and we've come to an agreement on an articulation agreement. This is an agreement that can provide students, both that are academically challenged and those that are outstanding students, to go to school in the evening or late afternoon. Now, when we look at credit recovery and some of our students that are behind, looking at that population, theoretically, if someone's a year behind their class, other than the core subject areas which they must graduate, there's several electives that they must have. I can give credit for elective courses. So if a mom or a dad are willing, because after graduation, just like college, after graduation, just like going to a vocational technical training program, they have to pay anyway. And when you're a full-time student, you have all the benefits of financial aid. But what they can do is start during their high school career and then get credits back so that they can move along. And then after they graduate, they'll be very close in life to where that friend of theirs that graduated the year ahead of them actually is. So it's a great opportunity. It's an endeavor that's taken, like I said, a year and a half, and meeting with the board of directors down there. And I believe at this stage, and I'm going to introduce Mr. Phil Krebs, and he'll introduce his staff this evening, and colleagues, I should say. But it's a great opportunity for kids, should parents want the option. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Krebs.
So my name is Phil Krebs. I'm the Vice President for Operations for Porter and Chester Institute. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Sonika Kamahuza, who's our Vice President for Education, and John Dyer, who many of you I'm sure know, who's our high school area representative or manager. I want to take a very short period of time here to just work through a couple of things to tell you a little bit about PCI, about Porter and Chester Institute, and give you some very high-level issues as far as what this agreement entails. Really quick, Porter and Chester was founded in 1946, began as an engineering design school. Each year we train approximately 3,000 students. We have 9 campuses, 5 in Connecticut and 4 in Massachusetts. We are nationally accredited by the Accrediting Commission of Career Schools and Colleges, and we also have a programmatic accreditation through ABHES for our medical assisting program. Porter and Chester is very focused on our mission. We truly believe in what we do, and in fact, I've been in higher education now for over 20 years. I've been in this sector of education because I believe in it, I'm very passionate about it, and so are my colleagues. Our mission is to train our students in the technical and professional skills essential for their chosen careers. This also speaks to our vision and as well as our values. The program areas at Porter and Chester consist of 1 in automotive technology, which we're speaking to you today about. We have 2 in computer technology and design, CAD and computer network technology, 3 in the skilled trades, electrician, HVAC, and electrical systems technology, as well as 4 in the healthcare field, dependent upon the state. We have practical nursing, AHS, which is administrative health specialist, medical assisting, dental assisting, and that's it. So, as Mr. Wells pointed out, the purpose of this agreement is to provide Oxford High School students with an opportunity to learn and trade in the automotive field while they're still enrolled at the secondary level. This will allow OHS students to complete their secondary education. The other added benefit here is also to potentially motivate OHS students to continue their education at the post-secondary level. Features and benefits provide OHS students an opportunity to attend PCI, to obtain high school credits in their automotive courses. It allows them to earn course credit taken at PCI towards their high school diploma, then allows them also to the opportunity to start preparing for ASE certification, which is an automotive certification, while still attending high school. It allows them to continue their career education in PCI's automotive technology program with a reduction of the post-secondary training time. In other words, the program is 4 terms in length. They would get 1 full term while attending Oxford High School, leaving only 3 in remaining. It also allows OHS students the opportunity to earn a scholarship towards their first term's tuition in the automotive program at PCI. And all of these are highlighted in the agreement in the packet that we presented you with. The term length, as I spoke, is 3 months long. The program that we're looking to provide is the afternoon session, which is from 12:45 to 6 p.m., and that would be Monday through Friday. They would obtain 16.5 to 17.5 quarter credit hours, dependent upon which term they enter, which is 300 classroom hours of instruction. Our term starts are in January, April, July, and October, and again, they're 3 months in length. The tuition would be $3,115. There's also a student services fee, which would cover uniforms, textbooks, and tools. Every toolkit, there'll be a toolkit provided for every 2 students from OHS. That is the shortened version of the articulation agreement. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
From the committee?
Dennis, if I may.
Mr. Koenig, go ahead.
I think I skimmed this very quickly. I wish I had this a little bit earlier, that have a little better briefing on it. However, when will the student receive the credits to your institution?
Okay, so upon completion of their high school requirements, in other words, upon receiving their high school diploma, they would apply like any other student entering PCI. At that point, upon acceptance, they would be granted the credits at PCI. They would also be eligible for financial aid and any other benefits that any other student would receive.
Can I just clarify that, please? Upon acceptance, so there's no automatic acceptance if the student went through the program, they spent the year as part of, to get themselves ready to graduate, and then they apply, is they automatically accepted or matriculated into
They
the
would,
program?
they would still have to go through the same criteria for admissions. That being said, the fact that they've successfully completed the program, that one quarter, I'm sure they would be accepted. We have a brief entrance exam. Again, it's part of the entrance process. They would have to go through the same process as any other student.
I think, if I may, I
Yes.
think part of the purpose behind that is because of the standards that you're held to,
Correct.
that students, in order to be eligible for financial aid, have to go through that. I think it's more of a formality than anything, and you did say that scholarships potentially could be available based on their performance
Based
in
on the
the
performance,
classes prior to that.
Exactly, thank you, but my line of questioning where I'm sure is, you know, the family's shelling out roughly $3,500, and they think that they're enrolled into a program. After the first initial thing, that we're not asking them to pay $3,500 to have them go graduate from high school, now, if they're receiving those credits, and the question may come up, well, you received the credits, therefore received the diploma, but now all of a sudden I go apply to the school, and the school says, well, thank you for your money, but we really don't want you here now. And that's where that's the thing that really concerns me with this, is that you're leading a student on, that they get in right away, and they were enough to obtain the credits to get the OHS diploma, and now there's no guaranteed acceptance. If you can give a guaranteed acceptance, I'd feel a little more comfortable with this.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, because we're bound by certain admissions criteria, which our accrediting bodies hold us accountable for, we have to make sure that those criteria are across the spectrum, that there's no discriminatory practice in that regard. Now, that being said, the fact that they've gone through the program and have received a grade, a passing grade, it would be highly unlikely that they wouldn't pass the entrance exam, the Wonderlic exam, which has a very minimal cutoff. Our intent in having an entrance exam is to make sure students succeed. They've already proven they can succeed. They've passed the course. So it would be highly unlikely that they wouldn't be able to pass a simple 12-minute entrance exam.
Highly unlikely, but still possible. And that's where I'm really not ready to take a vote on that, with that being said, that in there, that if there was an automatic roll into, or even to a pre-program or tutorial type program to get them ready, because you've already asked a student, we're selling them a false bill of goods. You can pass this and get your diploma, but you're not gonna matriculate through the program that you've already started. And that's where I think we may be setting, maybe it couldn't happen foreseeably. I'm not sure what the test looks like. Maybe need a little more time to study this, but I do have that concern, that there's no automatic into this, where I have, I work with Quincy Community College quite a bit, and we have articulation agreements. If the student graduates from high school with a B or better in the courses, a C or better, now, when they are accepted to the college, they receive those credits, but they don't pay any money for it up front, where it's coming out of the high school situation. Yours is a little bit different. Now we're asking for a pay-as-you-go system, but the payment is not guaranteed at the end. If the student fails right away, right up front, hey, that's the student's fault. They really didn't make it. It wasn't the right program for them. Whose fault it is, we're not gonna point fingers, but that's what happened at the beginning. So a student could go in and fail the program, not get their credits for any reason, that happened. But now the student could pay, get their credits that you say, yeah, you're good enough now, and Mr. Wells says, abiding by our agreement, here's your credits to help you on the road to graduation. and now there's no automatic acceptance to the program. So I do have a concern with that, Madam Chair, at this stage.
Mrs. Ravelli?
Could you just briefly tell us what some of your entrance criteria is?
Well, they need a, they need a valid high school diploma or a GED. They have to pass the entrance exam, which is a 12-minute Wonderlic exam.
And what does that focus on? I'm sorry for interrupting.
Basic skills,
Just basic
basic
skills,
skills
like
is
basic
roughly
reading and,
8th grade level aptitude. Again, we want to ensure that students succeed. We are not in a situation to take students' money to put them through a program and not have them become gainfully employed. That's what we're all about. I mean, ultimately, students come to us for a reason. You know, we have a lot of adult students. Not everybody comes out of high school. So we have to have some criteria that we've set forth by our credit, you know, with the blessings of our accrediting body to ensure that, you know, we make sure students are at least prepared with the basic skills to be able to succeed.
so a GED, a 12-minute exam, and that's it?
Pretty much it, yeah.
Pretty much it. Is there any way of taking this 12-minute exam prior to coming into this program at the high school level?
I don't see any reason why not.
And then if the child then had their high school diploma based on these credits, then there would be no reason to, then it would be, if you went there and you passed, you received your high school diploma, then there would be some sort of automatic acceptance, if that's something you might be comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not the compliance expert or the legal
Right.
department.
No, I'm just-
I would certainly entertain that. It seems to be, and I think it would allay any concerns you may have, and I certainly
Exactly.
respect that.
Yeah.
That is a great recommendation. I'd be very happy to run that through my compliance division and legal division and see if it's acceptable.
And could I just go off that, Madam Chair, if you may? To take that 12-minute exam before they even start this. So how long is that test valid for?
That's, if I may, he had actually brought up the fact that it's timing, because for the most part, the students have a year, once they take that test. So that test is good for a year. So I don't know how those standards may change, you know, considering that we're doing something brand new. And like you said, it's something we're gonna have to kind of vet through our educational, program, but, it's usually a year long. So if a student would come in, say he took the test right now, he'd be all, I mean, he'd pretty much all set to start a year from now. But if he took it 2 years ago, then, you know, he'd have to retake it. So it all comes down to timing. It may be something that's very, very doable. But, I mean, I can understand your concerns, and we have the same concerns, because we're partnering for their success.
Exactly.
And we definitely don't want to take advantage of everybody. We're not in a position to do that. We don't want that.
Right.
But what we would like to do is make sure that we can do what you're asking us to do. That's, everything that we're talking about tonight is gonna have to go through somebody else, especially a question that we really, you know, didn't expect to hear.
Right.
So we really appreciate your candor.
Now, there's another side of that would be that if they took this prior to entering, while they're in high school, and let's say the validity of the test lapsed, well, if they already passed it once, I'm sure they can pass it again.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you know.
Exactly.
it's-
That
it's-
there's no false pretenses
No.
of, you're there, where some students have extreme difficulty with tests. When you say, if you don't tell them it's a test, they're gonna do fine. Now, here's just this 12-minute test, and there may be, I don't know how the test, again, what it looks like, if there are any accommodations given for the exam where the student may be great with their hands, but those tests, they really need some help with. This is, if they can pass it beforehand, I'd be all happy. This is a wonderful opportunity for student ops to go this way, and it puts them right into that track for success.
If that's the committee's recommendation, we would certainly vet that through our legal and compliance departments to see.
I know it's mine, I'm not speaking for the committee, but I know that's my,
Mrs. Gaucher?
do it that way.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. Can I ask if a student's on a 504 or an IEP plan, would that be followed at the school? Okay. Now, my other question about the enrollment, do you ever have over-enrollment? Is there ever a time that you have to turn away, the class sizes are too big?
We do have caps. We do have enrollment caps. One of the strengths that this institution has in particular is small class sizes and individualized attention. So yes, there is a possibility if you were to give us 50 students, we would say, well, we'll have to either open additional sections or however, but we would structure it in a way where we do not go over the prescribed self-inflicted caps within those courses.
Would a priority be given to the student that's already been enrolled in your program after graduation versus somebody coming in brand new off the street to enroll in your program? Would you give priority to that student? How would you work
Thought about that. I don't know whether we could do that. I will tell you that we don't have that luxury of turning away students during the midday section.
Well, that concerns me a little bit too, that the kids could, pay $3,500 for a course, and then the following, graduation the following year, you're booked, and there's no room that year for the student.
We honestly, we don't turn away students.
If I could just speak to that, on the same point, I think as part of the program with the articulation is you're attracting students, you're attracting a particular type of student, and I think that how it's written, that if it's about being on space available, well, if there's space available in year one of the program, there's gonna be space available in year two. Is that a pretty safe assumption? That if you have, I'm gonna say, I'll throw a number out, if you have 100 seats in the program and you have 88 students enrolled right now in that program, so we send 3 or 4 students, there's still open seats.
Oh, yeah.
And come next year, you're still gonna have your base 88, or there may be some drop off from that, maybe some people coming back, but it's gonna stay pretty about the same type of number. So I think mathematically, it's almost probably impossible for that student to get blocked out at that, once they've gone through the year one.
Yeah. Highly improbable.
Highly improbable, thank you.
You have something, Sue?
Yeah, I don't really have it in the form of a question yet, though.
Well, I think that one thing I think we all can agree upon, there is a definite population that would benefit from this program, and I think that Oxford High School students, we have that population. So I appreciate all of this information. I would like to, I'm going to ask that the committee table this tonight, because this is our first view of everything in your presentation. Let us kind of soak it in a little so that if we have any questions, we could forward them to our superintendent, who would then turn them to Mr. Wells to give to you. So if I think that this is something definitely we should consider. Let's get our questions answered and our concerns, answered by you and our superintendent and Mr. Wells. But I truly appreciate you coming in. It's never been offered here in this form. Do you do it with any other high schools? Do you have these agreements? You do not?
Pioneering right now. I've been chasing them for, like I said, a year and a half. So in all of Connecticut and all of, and actually I said to John one day, I said, I'm telling you, there's a market out there because principals and school districts need this. It's something that is a great, it's a win-win for both. I think Mr. Coon's point is one very well taken.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So remind the committee, not that it's gonna give you any concession, a couple of years ago, when we looked at the dropout rate, 70% of the kids that dropped out of school had already passed their MCAS. So these kids, if they can pass the MCAS, they're certainly gonna be able to pass a 12-minute entrance exam.
Mm-hmm.
I just have one other
Go ahead.
question. I think
Go
I
ahead.
have a question now. So this full term is 3 months, starting, it says here, January, April, July, and October. When would they start, and how does this work into if they're a senior in high school? Those classes are year-long classes. So
Right.
what happens the rest of the year to them, I guess? So the question is for you.
They've done a great job of educating me. They have a wheel, right, Phil?
That's
They have a
correct.
wheel.
A wheel.
And what happens is, for example, if they started in January,
Mhm.
they would go either early afternoon,
Mhm.
if they went out on work study, for example, which students that are up to credit status can do that easily. So they could go out on work study and get credits. So they would finish the first quarter of the wheel in April. start the second order of the wheel. Then when they graduated, obviously they graduated at the beginning of June, the third wheel in July, they're now an Oxford High School graduate, they now automatically become eligible, so they finish the third wheel, and then this particular, is only 4, is that correct?
That's correct.
So, and then they would graduate in December.
So,
It would be continuous. And that's what I said, if I graduated on time, and my best friend graduated a year behind me, I started the program after graduation, he started it in January, he would be halfway through the wheel, and I would just be a little bit ahead of him. So I graduate before, but not far. Is that confusingly clear?
okay, so this,
I got it.
so this is all right, so each term is 3 months, there are 4 terms for the entire program. Right?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm glad you're still nodding, okay. All right, so then I think I get it then now. I just want
Remember how
to,
many months are in a year?
12.
There you go.
So then, if they start, so if we can get our acts together here, and get these questions answered, we can possibly get people started for January of this year.
We could start them in October.
But if we started in October, I don't know.
That would be the
October
fourth term.
21st is the beginning of the term.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that would be a little aggressive, but it's possible.
That's it's very possible.
If you had clear, concise questions, I think it would be really easy to have their legal go through it.
Well,
and-
I think we have, do we have clear, concise questions? Well, our first one really is just, can they take that aptitude test prior to, so that they are automatically accepted into the second or third wheel, or whatever you're talking about here, with pieces of cheese, I think. Right, so if they can take that aptitude test prior to, that's I think, the first question. And do we have another
Oh, the big one.
what was the big one?
The big question was assurances, if they have a certain grade, I think is what you would look at.
Yeah,
For
I'm
example,
looking
if a
at,
student goes to Nichols College and they get a C, you know, if Ben takes a class next semester at Nichols and they get a
you
C,
should,
they can transfer it literally to almost any school in the country.
right.
So
So
we're talking about
is there,
getting entrance.
is there a level, of, as long as the kid still wants to go, they may not want to. They may do 1 or 2 sections of this and say, goodness, I'd never want to work on a car again. But at least they learn something. That's still good learning. And I think this is fabulous because it fills a void with not only our high school, with others, but listen, you're not going to pay attention to any of the others yet, okay? Because we can't really, many school districts, we all know, cannot afford to keep any sort of shop going. It's really difficult, just with everything that's gone on in the past 5 and 10 years in education. So,
Are there any other questions besides those 2?
Actually, I have one.
Go ahead,
one
Mr.
for you,
Cronin.
Mr. Wells. When they receive credit, this credit doesn't go towards their GPA in any way?
No.
no,
It's just basic credit, like going to summer school.
Right.
it's elective, that's fine.
Elective, yeah.
it's basically the same, I'm sorry if I may, as the other program,
Credit recovery.
no, the program with,
Nichols College, the
right,
access program.
all of those, it's the same thing, it doesn't go towards your,
It's a
but
credit.
but it's a credit,
It's a credit, yeah.
it's a credit for graduation.
Just clarification, thank you.
The only difference is, I don't think that you could take their credit and go to a competitor.
No,
Comparatively
no.
speaking, college courses.
Right.
Right.
Right. And I'm not talking more about transfer, I'm more talking just in the student's own GPA when you start determining class rank.
And obviously, just like the articulation agreements with colleges, they have to provide their own transportation.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I would like to just set a date when
That's
we
what I
could
was
have the
gonna do.
exact,
How long do you think it
Final
would take
questions.
to get the answers? I'm looking at maybe October 28th meeting,
Oh, that shouldn't be a problem.
if that, go ahead.
If I may, if you
Sure.
could just restate your questions again, I believe your question was, can they take the Wonderlic before they start the program?
Right,
And then that went along with the enrollment. You just wanna make sure that they could continue on as
This
students.
is a continuous program,
Right,
yes.
so what? Right, well, they're gonna have to maintain a certain GPA with us
Yeah.
in order to
Right.
continue.
Exactly, they have to meet your
So,
standards.
that being said, I mean, I believe that answers one question as far as the Wonderlic, if it can be taken before the term was started, and then your other one, if you had another question, I believe?
Before it started, and then just that the assurance, and it sounded like that there is assurance of room, that to Mrs. Goshen's
Right.
question, that
That shouldn't be an
once they're in the program, that you're not gonna get blocked out of the program.
No, I mean,
Even if you've met your competitive
No,
standards.
no, and again, unless, I mean, obviously, we have criteria, you know, we have what we call it steps of success.
Yes.
And so it's, you know, we're looking at students' behavior, we're looking at their effort and attitude, because we want them to represent themselves the best way they can. Obviously, they're taking our name with them as they leave the school. So it's really important that as they're a student at Porter and Chester, that there's no behavioral problems, that attendance, appearance, we do have a uniform policy, all of those things are kept. But other than that, if they can take that Wonderlic and pass it, there's nothing else that would hold them back. They've met our criteria. So, you know, again, let me just restate it, so it just make sure that they can take the Wonderlic, just to ensure they continue on as students if they'd like to do that. And I believe the other one was, you were asking about,
If they get a grade, when they take the program,
yes.
and they get a grade like a C or a B, when they come to actually apply for school, will it be automatically taken into consideration in terms of? For entrance.
Right,
We want assurances that people aren't gonna throw out X number of dollars and then say, thank you very much.
No.
However,
no, but I believe that answers his question as far as the Wonderlic, because once they pass the Wonderlic, the criteria is met, as long as they met everything else. But there was another one you had asked about, I can't remember, will they
Just say
be
something.
considered before other students?
Right.
That's the question.
would have the priority.
Would they have priority over other students?
A new
That's what I'm
student.
looking for, thank you.
And I would, you know, I think what we're looking for,
The guarantee.
just nod your head, as long as they're meeting all your criteria of a student that would continue on in your program anyway, would that be a guarantee of having a space? Because we wouldn't want, I mean, these are kids that, you know, may not graduate if they stay here. That's why we were looking for something else for them to hold on to. You can't put it in front of them and take it away.
And as to the Wonderlic, I just wanted to add one more thing, which is that there is a process also with the Wonderlic. So it's not like if a student does not make the first, you know, doesn't do well in the first attempt, that they can't have another attempt at the
Okay.
Wonderlic.
Oh,
I think
good.
that's important for you to know, because there is some sort of remediation process for them to be able to take take that exam again.
Would that be similar to, and I know you're not that, but like at the community college, they use the AccuPlacer?
Very
Would it be
similar.
Very similar to that, where there's
Very
different
similar.
parts, and you get the different parts.
Yeah.
And you go forward, and like, that's.
The Wonderlic is just a more encapsulated process. It's only a 12-minute exam, and it doesn't really test the broad level of skills that potentially the AccuPlacer would test. And it's a pretty good indicator, again, for students to succeed. And that's really what we're all about. We want to make sure that if students enter our front door, that when they leave, they're going to be, you know, successful, they're going to be graduates, and they're going to be gainfully employed. That's really what it's all about.
That's the goal
It is.
overall.
It
You
is.
know, it is, it's the goal overall.
Madam Chair?
Well, thank you very much.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I have one more question. Where is the closest school for this?
Westboro.
Westboro, okay. Thank you.
all right, so we would like to invite you back for the 28th of October, 6 o'clock. We will put you at the top of the agenda.
That's October, you said, right?
Yeah. The 12-minute test. You take the test, you fail the test. When can you reapply to take it again?
We
Oh.
actually, within a week, actually?
has
Oh,
to
it
be-
is, okay.
Yeah, it has to be done within a week's time.
Oh,
So, once they do that, once they take that test, they're gonna have to, you know, prepare to take it again within the week's time. There are, just with the AccuPlacer, and even like the ASVAB, there are places on the internet that you can go, find the Wonderlic, you can actually, you know, find what that's all about. So, and the students have some options to them.
okay.
And just a clarifying question, please, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Is there a fee to sit for the exam? No fee for the exam?
No fee.
He's shaking his head no, thank you. Just making sure.
Most bang for the buck here, that's what we're looking for.
That's what we're looking for.
Definitely. Well, this can be very exciting, I think, especially if we are a pioneering school. Mr. Wells has a very long reach, and I'm sure that you might be hearing from other high schools in the area, you know, that will want to entertain this program. We thank you very much for coming before us and explaining everything, and we look forward to having you back on the 28th.
Thank you for having us.
October 28th?
Yeah, this room.
All right, October
Hey,
28th,
Todd?
I believe, let me just look at this real quick here.
Okay.
I just want to get this. Okay, October 20th is another Monday night, okay.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure.
okay.
And if I may, just for all of us, thank you very much for having us.
Pleasure.
By far, it's been a great experience to work with Mr. Wells. Other schools have approached us, but we felt very comfortable working with him. This is the prototype, and we do think that we can really help your students out. We believe it could be a great partnership. So thank you, committee, for having us. Appreciate your time.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you. Moving down, excuse me, on our new business, we have an attendance report from our superintendent. We discussed this report a couple of times, Mr. Himmelberger and I. And, excuse me, I had a little tickle. I have to say, I couldn't be more disappointed in the attendance at our public schools. And I know, as he told me, this is not only Oxford. And I know that it's not only Oxford. But as I've said in the past, I don't really care what happens in other towns, in other school districts. I'm more concerned with what goes on in ours. I was shocked when he told me some of these numbers. And then I was disappointed. And I was disappointed in both parents and students, especially those in the high school. And now I think I'm a little angry. So I'm going through all of the emotions that I can go through with something like this. So I'm going to give the floor to our superintendent so he can walk us through this attendance report that we have. And I wonder if any of you will leave the table a little upset and angry and disappointed also. And I will be looking at policies with Mrs. Ravelli in regard to this, because there has got to be some type of discipline, ramification, whatever you want to call it, to end this kind of behavior, or I should say, lack thereof of respect of education in this community. So, Mr. Superintendent, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ennis. As everyone heard me in the opening meeting of the year, talk about the importance of attendance, and that's really the key determinant as to how well students will do. And on the front page of the OXPS main page, on my welcome, I really outlined what parents can do to ensure their students' success. And it's not anything that is hard to follow, but it certainly is what parents need to do, and to take some time every day to engage with their students and with their children. This is last year, the entire year, and it is eye-opening, it is disappointing. It is certainly something that we have addressed as an administrative team. It is something that we continue to emphasize, and I must let the committee know that while we are only 3 weeks in to the school year, our attendance is much more in line with what you would expect, running 2-3% absent. And certainly, within this number are students who have legitimate reasons for not being able to attend. But we also know that there are frustrations at every level with families who either cannot ensure that their students get up for school on time, or are compelled to take a vacation during school time, or simply don't have the ability to get students to school. And obviously, at the youngest grades, it is heavily on the parent's shoulder. At the older grades, there has to be that sequence of maturing that allows students to do it themselves. So it is something that we are taking very seriously. We are, and I applaud the committee and Mrs. Ennis for having this community forum on Wednesday night, because I think it continues the conversation. I know that when I talk to parents, it runs the gamut from helplessness on their part to frustration on their part in trying to get students to attend. And we have a supper with the super. We're finalizing the dates over the next couple of months, and we are going to try to continue to reach out. But we are on top of absences from day one this year. And I'm happy to say that so far we are seeing much better attendance throughout the district, and we are tracking it every day. And when the blips come, we know where they are. It is something that every parent has to know is their responsibility, whether your child is 6 or 16. It is imperative that parents take the role of being a parent, and that we believe that we can do a lot in terms of educating children and young adults, but we have to have them here to do it. And I know from a family's consideration, sometimes when there's a vacation and the window is limited, that's a parental decision, that's a family decision. I know that principals are often consulted, and they say from a professional point of view, is there another time to take the vacation? We have 3 weeks during the year and 11 over the summer. So, there's nothing that ensures success like attending. And I think as you look at our strongest students and our students that show the most growth, they are the ones that come to school on a consistent basis. And universally, it tracks the other way as well. So I just wanted to let the committee know this was last year's numbers. We have addressed it, and we continue to address it every day. And we are, at least for the first 3 weeks of the year, seeing a positive turn. So I will, I believe I will report the numbers back to the committee on a monthly basis to let you know how we are trending. Because I think it's the most important thing that we as parents can do to make sure that our students attend.
Students that have legitimate excuses, are they included in this report?
This is, I did not separate out the data here, Mrs. Ennis. This is a total number.
About how many students had legit excuses?
I
Let's
do
just
not
talk
have-
about high school.
I do not have that data in front
Do
of
you
me.
happen to know, Mr. Wells, about?
No, not off the top of my
Yeah.
head, but there are some exceptionally long-term. I
Right.
can tell you this.
Right.
There are some that are long-term, not just medically because of surgery, but medically, because of fragility under counseling, you know, phobias, that prevent them with doctor's notes from being in school.
Okay.
And Mrs. Ennis, I did not want to not include that, but I wanted to, for privacy and confidentiality, not split those out just yet, but I did want to let the total numbers speak for itself. And,
No, I can appreciate
you know,
that.
we all have reasons why folks do miss time, but the fact remains that wherever possible, students need to be in school.
Any questions or comment from the committee?
I do.
Mrs. Gaucher?
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. Mr. Superintendent, is there a way to break this down with how many are actually medically excused with a doctor's note, not with just a note from home? Is it put into the system that it's an excused absence or a non-excused absence?
We have the data that we can break it down. Obviously, when there's small samples, it is more of a challenge to break that data down because it's not fair to any student or any family to have that individual focus.
Right.
But we certainly can give the committee a little more general information in terms of what is long-term and what is short-term and where the challenges lie.
Thank you.
Mrs. Ravelli?
Yeah, I would not even be concerned with long-term or short-term, just what was excused and what wasn't excused. If it was an excused absence, then it shouldn't come into play, really. If it's an excused absence, it's an excused absence. Vacations are not excused absences, that's my understanding. There's simply medical reasons that are excused absences, correct?
If you
Well,
could maybe just
certain-
polish up the numbers a little bit, just by excused and unexcused. It doesn't have to have anything to do with the reason.
Right. The reason doesn't matter, really, it's just, has it been excused, because, I mean, and even just looking at these numbers, it's an average of 30% of the children that are missing 2 to 3 weeks of school. That's 30%. That's a
Significant.
lot
It's a lot.
of people missing 2 to 3 weeks of school.
And I think, too, it's worth noting, to your point, that even when there are legitimate reasons to schedule something during the day, whether it's a dentist appointment, a doctor's appointment, parents have the right to ask for either early morning appointments or end-of-day appointments, so that the school day is not disrupted. And I think that that is sometimes lost on us in our busy lives, that parents have the right to try and not just accept an appointment, but to move it so that school takes priority. And I think that's what we are asking for and looking at. There are very few excused absences. An absence is an absence, and if you're not there, you're not learning. And I think that's, but I would be happy to give you a little further breakdown.
Mr. Coonan?
Thank you. The most alarming, 20% of our students are absent between 9 and 17 days. 9 to 17 days, you know, and Mr. Wells here has strict requirements, as all schools do, that right away they're losing credit, or in danger of losing credit, which again, puts them behind the 8 ball and makes, at the end of the road, A, they're not graduating on time, or we talk about a program here tonight, a wonderful program. The parents have spent $3,500 just to get their child to graduate on time. It shouldn't happen, and they have to realize that from day one. Just because you've been in school for 4 years, you've been coming for 4 years, maybe passed most of your classes, they don't just hand you the diploma at the end of your high school days. And where this education's gotta start is at the elementary level. And we've heard it before. Mr. Barone, Mr. Yvonne, the parents just coming in, dropping them off. Oh, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that's all right. Well, it's only first grade. Don't worry about it. But that's where the habit is. That's where you have to break it. You know, and I'd be very curious to hear what the principals of our elementary schools are doing to address this, to get the parents involved. Matter of factly, you know, put it bluntly, to call the parents out and say, this is unacceptable for Oxford Public Schools, for you to deliver your child late to school every single day. And Mr. Wells probably, and if there was a correlation report, and I'm just hypothetically speaking, and if they had a conversation, oh, John so-and-so, oh, Mr. Yvonne, oh yeah, I had a problem with John so-and-so back then too. It's not documented, but I guarantee there's a direct correlation to what happened at elementary school till they get to the middle school, to the high school, and they've always gotten away with it. And now Mr. Wells is, at the end of the day, saying, I can't graduate you. Your son, your daughter, you missed all these days. You're not getting your credits. And it puts him in the spot that, well, he's been here 4 years, well, he's not graduating. He has policies to uphold. He's at a strong curriculum we have here. We give him guidelines, and he's gone above and beyond so many times, and it puts him in the seat. It's gotta be stopped at the lower levels. I'd be interested to hear what the action plan is from those principals on how they're gonna address that at all levels.
Well, the
I can tell you-
only comment I'll make to that is, parents are contacted throughout the year, and 2 weeks before graduation is when they finally come in.
Yeah,
And they want to know why I've had the calls, the mother's crying,
right.
okay? My daughter's not gonna graduate, the superintendent won't let them graduate. Mr. Wells, they won't talk to me, they won't listen to me, I don't know what to do. Well, did you get any letters? Did you get any phone calls? Did you communicate with them at all throughout the year when they were trying to get in touch with you? Well, they stop crying usually right around then and hang up,
Exactly, the guy,
because that's where the responsibility falls. You have to ask yourself, who's in charge? In a lot of this, who's in charge? And if a first grader is gonna be able to stay home from school because, well, that issue is just gonna carry on throughout their life.
right, the mother's fell asleep late. Now, Mr. Wells, I'm sure he's out in the parking lot trying to flag parents down, say, this can't happen anymore. Yeah, have a nice day, then gone. And then he's like, the phone call is 2 weeks before, oh, how come? We've gotta stop it, we gotta break the cycle.
Well, we're gonna do everything we can, I think, and by putting together maybe a stronger policy may have something to affect it, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes, because I just don't know what will happen. Go ahead.
Just real briefly to finish up, Mrs. Ennis, I wanted to talk to Mr. Coonin's point that already at such a young age in both Barton and Chafee, both principals have had to go to court for specific instances. And both principals already this year have been asked if it's okay to take a week's vacation in October. And so both principals respond, as a parent, you have your right. However, as a principal and as an educator, it's important that your son or daughter is in school. And then sometimes, okay, and we'll see what we can do. But we approach every single case right from day one. And it is amazing to hear some of the comments.
Yeah, it is amazing.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And Madam Chair, and I did speak to that side, and just where Mr. Hillenberg was saying that, and I noticed myself, and every February vacation, April vacation, if I, A, wanna go away, or B, I'm walking my dog, so, hey, it must be nice to be a teacher this week off. You know what it costs? This is just an off-the-cuff comment, to get a plane ticket to leave during February vacation, where if you leave a week earlier,
Right.
you're saving yourself about $400 a ticket. And so, some of that turns into economics. But then again, you look at the end of the day, if the student has had 0 absences going in, okay, there's a little reward. When it's 16 absences, oh yeah, I'm going away for 2 weeks now, no, that doesn't cut it.
Well,
And,
this-
and you can't excuse the parental vacation every year.
Right.
And that, but occasionally, that's gonna happen. And I applaud the parents that actually go in and say, this is what we're doing, instead of the kids that show up for a week.
Well, this kind of absenteeism also is going to affect everything. It's going to affect their schoolwork, our MCAS, everything. So it does have a ripple effect that we're going to have to tackle as a committee. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just had one more.
Please go ahead.
Comment for the chair. We are graced with Commander Maisley's presence here today. For
He's so
one-
graceful.
Well, one important reason, as you know, we're trying to make sure that everyone follows the school school committee policy with out-of-state trips. And as everyone who's been involved knows, NJROTC takes many of them throughout the year. And so Commander was nice enough to give us detailed breakdown of where they go and their upcoming itinerary. And I believe it's 2 pages for
This is
everyone.
2 pages?
Yep, that's for the whole
Yeah.
year. That's for the whole year. And so what we have here is the itinerary for NJROTC as Commander knows it now.
This
That-
one more.
Thank you.
As Commander knows it now, and I think, I'll let, Mr. Wells and Commander Maisley, speak to this. However, we wanna make sure that the policy is followed, and that's why, Commander wanted to make sure that you see the early, trips here and where we go. Even though some of them are shorter hauls, if they're out of state, we still wanna make sure we follow the
I
policy.
don't see any Red Sox field trips. We're not going to the Red Sox?
That's intake. That's
I
what
know.
you gotta
Are we
recognize,
going?
Is this, I'm trying to
Okay.
get us in the playoffs. Serious.
Keep trying.
The call's been in there to do color guard for the playoffs.
Keep trying, keep
The
trying.
list, what happened was, although we've been in school for 15 days, I got notified on the 12th by Quabbin Regional, they were hosting a fall basic leadership camp like they did last year, took the lead. We have an invitation, so it saves us a lot of work if we could jump on bandwagon with them. So before I went off to a coaches conference the next day for the Drill League on the 13th, I typed up the forms for requests to go, sent them in. I got a call from Melissa saying, hey, there's a new policy, you have to have everything approved by school committee for out-of-state trips, which I was unaware of. So I dutifully showed up last Monday thinking that was the day of the meeting, found out that I had the wrong calendar, and the 23rd is really today, not last Monday. So I'm pushing through. I had emailed her the itinerary as I know it, for the next year of, you'll see both confirmed and you'll see being worked. The confirms are there for, which by definition, if it's out of state, includes all the drill meets we go to, upstate New York and so on. So in September, there's a confirm for this weekend to go to that camp. So that's my purpose here tonight, is to request your permission to allow that to happen. Right now, it looks like 16 of our cadets will be going to that, joining Quabbin, and it'll be the typical 3-day leave after school on Thursday. They missed 1 day of school. They've had to have their forms signed by their teachers saying they're academically cleared to go, which we always do. And graduation is on Sunday. October is kind of wide open with several things we're investigating cost-wise, ticket-wise, time-wise, weather-wise. November starts our drill competitions already. So after the coaches meeting last Friday, we know we're locked in to go to Coventry, and then we know we're locked into going up to Albany in December. January is an issue in that one of the schools had to cancel, so Newport's trying to offer to host it. They're working the details with their administration to see if they can host, so I threw that in, made the adjustment. The camps in Norwich, which have been a spectacular way for us to allow kids to get to camps to add to their resumes for college, we got that date this week. So this is ballooned into what we know is cooking, and we take kids up to that. And then in March, you can see the overlap. My question is, on most of the out-of-state trips, is it permissible to pass this information, give you a heads up, and do you want me to come back for each trip we know is locked in? Or can we proceed on, like for competitions, in particular, are we blessed to go to those that are out of state, like we always have been in the past?
Any questions from the committee?
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Coonan?
My recommendation is, I mean, this has been going on far before I got here. And a lot of the same committees, the same people, the sponsors, and Mr. Wells, correct me wrong, has there ever been an incident report? Has incident report ever come out of these? Anything?
We had a stolen flag at the St. Patrick's Day parade, but that was about it.
That was
Last
about
year.
it. Yeah,
And I missed that, being on the wrong side, otherwise,
That's,
now I'm carrying a 6-foot shillelagh in the St. Patrick's Day. It doesn't happen again.
no, it hasn't.
Exactly.
Incident-free.
Madam Chair, I think this is sufficient for the year, to go through and then just send updates into our meetings. You know,
Right.
It's just to come in with last minute things come up. Is you go through a superintendent and he can send us an email, hey, this is coming up, and just keep us aware of what it is.
And I can give you, this is easy now that with this is created, to
Yeah.
update this.
Just update it.
And you always get a standing invitation to join us on some of these trips, like the Tall Ship and the Pumpkin Festival and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So,
I think, that, again, a lot of these are long-standing things, then, that I see no problem in a blanket approval.
I just want to adhere to what your policy was.
Yeah.
And again, this does not include the in-state trips we're looking at. This is strictly out-of-state.
Madam, I make the motion that we approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5 in favor? Safe travels?
Thank you. We'll keep you posted.
Yep,
Ben will have your reports for you as we start getting the news put together, but it's been very hectic right now to put
sure.
all that info.
How many students do we have in the ROTC?
As of this morning, it looks like 62.
Excellent. Very nice.
We had an original number of 23 told to us on a printout from guidance. 8 of those didn't show. So essentially, the net differential of 11 has been filled to take us to 26 new kids. 2 of whom came back from Florida to be in the ROTC unit.
Oh,
2
my
girls
goodness.
relocated back to Florida after having to move with family issues last year. And the other 12 I attribute to Master Chief going in the hallways and talking to the kids, and the word's getting out, and we're seeing a new phenomena in that the kids are coming in by 2s and 3s.
Great.
And obviously, the head count on 1 October drives how much money the Navy gives us. So we're hoping to keep everything up there because it affects trips, uniform purchases, and a lot of other things.
Excellent.
So
That's good
we'll
news.
keep you posted. We still have a week to go before the 1 October, a week to go before the 1 October report. So I
Excellent.
hope to
Thank
have
you very
things
much.
stabilized out.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Commander.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you very much for coming
Thank you,
in,
ma'am.
gentlemen. Be with you in a second.
You let us in a second.
Okay. Go back. All right, our community forum for the future of education, that will be this Wednesday at 6:30 in this room. I tried with all my heart and soul to get a committee going. Unfortunately, with 20-some-odd people and the inability to get a set schedule, I thought that we would try a night of forum. The topics will be MCAS, parent support, community support, our warrant, our article for the warrant, and where our project management team will come in and give a brief explanation of what we'll be asking for at town meeting, what we will be supporting for town meeting. There'll be a question-answer portion. Questions and comments will be 2 minutes long. We will reserve the option to answer the question or take it under advisement. And I ask that everyone bring someone. And that someone brings someone. So that's my request for that. I don't know if any other members have anything they want to add for that night. I would like each member to at least have a brief statement in regard to the future of education in this community, as when I open the meeting. 2 minutes is more than enough time to give your views and your thoughts and feelings of how things are going and where they should go and how they need to get better, and the hard work that we have ahead of us as a school committee. So if anybody else, Ms. Scousher?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it a possibility, I know that it's hard with the younger elementary kids with the homework being done, that if a parent comes that night, that the child could get a homework slip not to do their homework that night as an incentive for mom and dad to come to this meeting?
It's up to the superintendent if he wants to float that to the principals. I still say you should have a 1 night a month homework free.
That's
I've
all?
touted that 1 night a month.
Oh.
I know, but nobody will ever If it was Ernie Boss, we wouldn't have any homework ever. But go ahead.
My first reaction, or instinct, is that there is time before the meeting to complete the homework, and in the older students' cases, time after the meeting to complete it. I will, as soon as I leave the meeting, be in close contact with building principals to see what we might be able to do.
Mrs. Ravelli?
Are we planning on providing any sort of childcare?
No, I wasn't planning on that, no,
No?
no. Mr. Coonan?
Thank you, Ms. Ennis. Madam Chair, I probably will not be here Wednesday. I do have a work commitment. I do coach a sport in the city of Worcester, and we have very late nights. But I will make my very brief statement now, and it's the same lines that, and I'm not gonna go as in depth I did in last town meeting on the floor, but basically, if you fund at level 3, you're gonna get level 3. You get what you pay for in education. I thought it was an admirable task that we amended what we needed for money. We needed an extra $500,000, and they wouldn't even let us take a vote on it. I think it was absolutely appalling what happened that evening. I hope people come out. I hope people come out really ticked off on what the town, what certain individuals in the town did to education in the state of education. They slapped education in the face that night. They said, well, you know, the whole mentality of, I went to school, we were fine, look, I came out okay. Things have changed. They have changed considerably. The different expenses, as we went through the budget, it was eye-opening that these line items weren't there 20 years ago when a lot of these people were in school, no matter what school they went to. Be it Oxford, be it Webster, be it Millbury, be it Worcester, be it Northborough, wherever you went to, those line items weren't there. Some of the social services that we have to pick up, the busing that gets picked up, that, quite frankly, if you want a high level of education, you have to pay for a high level of education. We lose teachers every year. If you look at where our teacher salaries are, look in the book, holy cow, so-and-so makes so much money and they have summer off. Pick up a book from surrounding areas. We're in the bottom third for salaries, and I'm not mandating we're giving everyone, we're gonna get money and give across-the-board raises, but it's just one example. We have such committed people for Oxford Public Schools. And unfortunately, economically, some do have to leave because they're, if I can go somewhere else, make $20,000 a year more, it happens. Good for them, they went. The ones that are here are picking up the pieces and doing the best that they can with the tools that we can provide them. As a committee, as a community, we've got to provide better tools. We've got to get to that 21st century education to make every student in Oxford Public Schools college and career ready. And right now, they're busting their tails out there to do it. We've got to help them a little more.
Agreed. Thank you, Mr. Coonan. Anything else on the forum evening?
6:30 start?
6:30. It is a posted meeting. There will be no voting, though, that night. Okay. All right, moving along, we have our student representative, Mr. Murray. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So first of all, we had our freshman class elections recently, so their class has been fully initiated into the high school, and they're now ready to participate in all the activities we have to offer. Coming up in the middle of October, the week of the 14th to 18th, is one of the most exciting weeks of the year, which is our Spirit Week, leading up to Homecoming, October the 19th, which is going to be the usual all-day event with booths selling all kinds of items to raise funds. It's always a great time and a great fundraiser. From sports, Julia Carrier, a new freshman, recently broke our school's girls cross-country school record for our 2.6-mile course here, as only a freshman, so
Wow.
we can only expect more later on. And finally, the superintendent has been recruited by the Booster Club to make the best popcorn this side of the middle school for Friday night football this Friday.
Very good. Thank you very much,
As a
Ben.
point of order, I was getting trained this evening before the meeting
Excellent.
and getting my serve safe, so I will be ready.
Excellent.
Friday Night Lights.
Excellent, that's it. And it's a good time, that's for sure. If you have anything else to our superintendent?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ennis. Thank you Ben. No, I'll be there.
You better be there.
I just wanted to go over a couple of things briefly, and I wanted to let the committee know and everyone at home know that we were very fortunate last Wednesday to have a visit from our Secretary of Education, Matt Malone. And Mr. Malone replaces Paul Revel, and Matt Malone is a hands-on Secretary of Education. You may have seen him on TV. He is everywhere. Westfield State had a hearing on improper use, or questionable use, I should say, of card usage. He was there. He has responsibility for early education and care, K-12, and higher ed, 35 institutions of higher ed. And yet, he was true to his word when I met him this summer that he said he would be here. And he did run late because he had commitments with the governor that morning for MCAS release, but he was able to visit the middle school and Clara Barton. And he was impressed with three things. Now, you have to understand, when you meet him, you don't get to usher him to where you want him to go. He just opens up doors and goes in. So he bops into therapy sessions. He goes into a private meeting. He is very much hands-on. He was impressed with the cleanliness of the buildings, and he bumped into our custodians at Clara Barton and went right up to them and said, "Do you work here?" and engaged them and let them know how much he appreciated the way the buildings looked. And I think that we all know that we have a pretty darn good group in every building. He was impressed with the student engagement that he saw in those two schools. And he got to tour probably a half a dozen classrooms total. And along with engaging with staff and faculty as he was touring the buildings. And he was also impressed with our use of technology. And he was the superintendent in Brockton for several years. And so his first question was, "What are you using for math in K-6?" And I said, "Envision." And he turns to his aide and says, "That's what I brought to Brockton. And that's Pearson, you know." And he happened to see one of our teachers at the middle school utilizing the Envision with the technology in one of her classes. And he said, "Wow, this is impressive for Oxford. I never knew." So it was nice to be able to show him what we do. He did, Mr. Wells, say that he will be back in the spring to tour Chafee and the high school, because he was not able to on a shortened day. But he has the governor's ear on all things education, and he is a genuine, caring secretary. And Paul Revel set a pretty high bar, and I think that Matt Malone will be able to do wonderful things because of his commitment and his energy to the job. Tomorrow is a half day, as we know. Our staff will be engaged in professional development, and we also have supper with the super lined up for 4 dates, and I will email these to the committee. The first one is the high school on Tuesday, October 15th. And again, we try to keep them early in the week because we know everyone gets busy. Tentatively, October 21st, which is a Monday, our off meeting night at Chafee. Tuesday, October 29th at Clara Barton. And Monday, November 4th, again, an off meeting night for the middle school. And I will send the dates out to everybody and also do an all-call. And we will also be sending home some more information, so we get as many people. I think it's important, and again, I cannot thank the committee enough for hosting this forum on Wednesday night to engage the town and everybody who gets a chance to come out and ask the questions and offer the opinion. But I think it's important, too, to follow that up with these engagements at each building where we get to have supper together and discuss anything. And I remember the middle school conversation last year. I believe it was Mrs. Walker and Mrs. Ravelli, and a couple of teachers, and administration, and myself, and a couple of parents. That was a priceless conversation, to be able to have all of those different people around the table discussing education in Oxford. And I think that that was something that hopefully we can replicate in all 4 of the upcoming buildings. Again, our next meeting, it appears, will be October 7th. We will post that.
Yep.
And that will be our MCAS presentation. I also wanted to call your attention, just prior to Mr. Matthews' report, that there is a couple of positions that we are requesting. And I thank Mr. Wells for another night out to stay to discuss this. There is a couple of issues here. One is the technology position. Because we are adding more technology, we now have parents up on Study Island and iParent. We are giving more and more passwords out to students for so many different pieces of our technology. We only have 1.5 tech support folks who are just amazing, because they'll respond to an email instantaneously. But there's just so much more that we're adding in. So there is a request tonight to the committee for another 0.5 tech support person, so that we can continue to support all that we are trying to accomplish with our technology. And as Mr. Matthew has been able to outline for us, there are funds available in the technology revolving account that will allow us to do this. As we go forward, we certainly began the discussion about digital conversion and what that might mean. I mean, part of, I hope, the discussion on Wednesday evening is regarding the infrastructure that it takes to do that. And that is a tremendous amount of money. But again, to Mr. Kunin's point, it's what does the town want for its students over the next generation. And I think it's a great discussion to have. There are no right or wrong answers, but certainly I think the discussion brings thoughts and plans that as a community, we decide what we want. And I think that's most important. The other position is a woodworking position. As everyone knows, we have this shop at the high school, and we are desperate to utilize it, both for students who can use that to stay motivated and stay in school, as well as other students who have a genuine knack for shop. I know the carpenter that I recently engaged at my house drives a much nicer car than I do. So there's a lot of career potential if we can utilize that shop. And I did want Mr. Wells to also outline some of the other initiatives that we are looking at to improve Oxford High School. I think that, we sometimes get locked into this is how we did it, and so we keep on doing it. But as we know, when we start to look at things unencumbered, that's not a good word for you, but it's, in this sense, I mean, it's a word, that you can look at something and say, geez, why can't we do it this way? And I think that those conversations are important as we have so many things we're trying to keep pace with right now in public education. And so those are 2 positions. Obviously, to fund them, we can fund them. It's going to be tight, but I think that they are necessary. Knowing Mr. Matthews' professionalism, knowing how everybody has worked with him over the last several years to bring our budgets in, I think that it's going to be a challenge this year, but we have some hope on the horizon, which we tend not to put too much stock in, but we think we might have some there. But I wanted, if it's okay with the chair, Mrs. Ennis, I wanted Mr. Wells to be able to speak to that, to to let the committee know exactly what we have and what we can utilize here at Oxford High School.
Sure, that'd be great.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to be back again. Just to encapsulate a few of the initiatives, thanks to the business manager, Mr. Matthew, and our curriculum coordinator, Mrs. Daly. I had an opportunity, along with the superintendent, to meet with Dr. Gobert from WPI. We're looking to extend the STEM program from the middle school and transition those students here to the high school. So we had an initial meeting with WPI. They came out here. They had one of their software engineers with them. I thought it was a very outstanding meeting. I thought they had a lot to offer. Our teachers will be looking at some of the information that they have provided, and we'll be meeting with them tomorrow afternoon during the in-service. But through a grant, we're looking to extend and have a STEM program here, and through a grant, hopefully hire a STEM teacher here at Oxford High School so that we can create a cohort group of students, the best and the brightest, if you will, and challenge them to the extreme for their 4-year career here. I've had the pleasure, and it's been a wonderful ride to hire probably 14 people in this is the beginning of my 6th year. I call them the young guns. We have some young people, most especially in our science department, when you're talking about science, technology, engineering, and math, that are brilliant young men. And we've hired a wonderful young math teacher that collectively, when we bring all of our resources together, including the veteran teachers and their leadership, there's some good things that have been going on. There's been a multitude of course changes throughout Oxford High School in this being the 6th year, in my 6-year tenure. A lot of course changes. But we're excited about the possibility of bringing a STEM program, so we're meeting with them again, WPI, tomorrow. We also, through a grant, in conjunction with Mr. Trahan, our technology director, and Mr. Matthew, a few doors down in between guidance and our in-school suspension room, we're looking to create an extended learning lab. And there, other than virtual high school, we're hoping to partner with Rosetta Stone to offer more foreign languages to students and to expand our extended learning lab through the internet to provide more courses than virtual high school has to offer. We will also, we're in the process of investigating, and it looks very promising, that we'll add at least, most probably no more, I should say, than 2 advanced placement courses next year. I'd say at this time it looks like chemistry and physics could be at the top of the list, with English in a close second. That would be our 2nd English AP course as well. We will continue our credit recovery course, or courses this year. There's 2 versions. One, it's through Keystone Credit Recovery in Pennsylvania. We work with them. One is for students that fail a year-long course. That's an abbreviated type summer school course. Then we also have courses available for students that are behind their class that run for a full year. That can be done either on the computer or we have hard copies mailed. Either way, Keystone does all the correcting in Pennsylvania, and then they contact us with the final grade for the students. So we're continuing to look to change, and we're continuing to look to grow, and we're continuing to change teaching and learning for every student every single day that we have here in every single classroom that we offer. And it's not just for those students that are exceptionally brilliant. It's not for those students that struggle. Oxford High School has students currently that are in Ivy League schools, which are the best in the world. We have the top 2 students in this year's class are outstanding academically, and certainly tops in the country, and that's something I don't want to share too much, but there's a secret forthcoming in the future. So there's some really good things happening. We don't have all night, because when you want to talk attendance, it was a wonderful choice not to ask me any questions, because I could go on a diatribe about getting phone calls from parents that Johnny's out and having to go to the superintendent's office and see Johnny on a skateboard. But the parent just called me, so I don't really want to go there. I just wanted to update you on what's currently in the process. Again, I thank the curriculum director, Mr. Matthew, as well as Mr. Trahan, for their hard work with the grant process for 2 key grants that we've applied for.
When will we hear?
Probably later this month, October, within October.
Any questions?
How much was the grant for, the application?
Some of this is actually through our Race to the Top grant, so it's
Okay. Oh,
pot,
okay.
the pool of money over the course of 4 years, over 200,000.
Okay. The other question I have, what is the shop size the class size for a shop?
I believe by OSHA standards,
Yeah,
Occupational Safety Hazard Association, I believe it's no more than a 16-to-1 ratio. And of course, that's a class that I call a breath of fresh air, and that is with those students that struggle wanting to go from English to math, then they've got to jump over to their biology class, and maybe they get a PE class for them to be able to go down and be able to work with their hands and then see the outcome of a product that they have worked with. I've asked for this in the budget for 2 years. I know that things have been very difficult, and again, it's that other side, of the divide where not everyone, as much as we want to raise the standards, and I completely agree with that, but not every student wants to go above a 65. They want to go into the workforce because maybe their grandfather owns an auto body, or maybe their dad, is into construction, and, they know that their skill level, they can make a lot of money. So it's just another opportunity to help kids to work through a day.
right. There's always gonna be that population that's their niche.
Right.
It's always gonna be like that, so. All right, well, the secret is intriguing. When are we gonna hear the secret?
I would defer to the superintendent on that one.
October 7th. Thank goodness you had the meeting scheduled then.
It's a good thing, because I don't know how long we'd wait. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Wells. Once again, it takes a village, and there's good things happening in this district. We have some hurdles, but every district does. It's just how you get over them. So, thank you very much for everything and for your presentation this evening with Portchester.
Thank you.
Good idea.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anything else from the superintendent?
No, that would be all, Madam Chair, and again, it would just be a 1.0 woodworking teacher for the high school and a 0.5 tech support person.
Okay, so I believe you are looking for a motion. Yes, Mr. Kuhn?
Before we go that far, I think the woodworking position is absolutely needed. Anytime that, as a committee, one of my personal goals, when I sit on this type of committee, is that when we can reduce class size by adding teachers, that's a win-win across the board. If you came in and said, look, I really got a need for basket weaving, and if we're gonna fill every chair in that class, or most chairs in that class, and we're cutting down on your academic labs or somewhere else, when we're spreading that population, we cut down class size, that's wonderful. If that's what you think your school needs, I'm there 100%. I wanna talk a little bit about this tech support person. Do you have a job description for that?
We do. I apologize, I don't have it with me, but I can get that for you, can email it to you.
Okay, could we hold that piece of next? I'd like to see that job description. Is that, well, actually, I'll ask my questions, you may know.
Yep.
Is this person, what's this person gonna be doing in terms of tech support? Is it in the schools, working in classrooms, or is it a maintenance person?
It would be all of the above. This person will be replicating, without getting into too much detail, because we have a 1.0 that is just, John Reynolds is phenomenal. We also have Tony Perry, who is a 0.5, and we're not quite sure how much longer Tony, he's an old guy, he's almost my age. So we need the support, given all the additional technology. It would be a combination of maintaining the hardware as well as making sure that everything that we have in the cloud is up and running and accessible. It's both.
I think, Madam Chair, I'd like to hold that, I'd like to wait for a job description, because I'm really uncomfortable about adding people when it's gonna have a very little impact, when we could, maybe we need, I'd rather see some money maybe into an MCAS program. Maybe to something for, I don't know, the tardyism. I think there's some other issues out there, and I'd like to see a job before we put someone that has no direct, that doesn't have the one-on-one impact, that it may be, that we're looking to support people, or we're looking at kids in classroom supporting teachers in the classroom, and that's, I'm really kind of, not sure where I'm going with this.
Go ahead, Mr. Himmelberger.
I asked Mr. Trahan if he could be here tonight, he couldn't. But nothing could be more true about this position. It supports every teacher in this district in a myriad of ways to keep their technology running. If they're in the middle or they're planning to do a lesson and something is not working. But I will get the job description for you and make sure that I get that.
We'll put
as
that
soon as
on
possible.
the October 7th
Yep.
agenda. Mrs. Ravelli?
I-
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would say just one more thing
Sorry.
on that last point you said, and also, I guess, what is the average downtime that we have on computers, or how many of our computers are going down, and where is it a network issue, or is it a PC type issue, and just really, if there is that strong of a need for that position, yeah, I'd like to know, because I'm a little unsure where that is right
Yeah.
now. Thank you.
Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'll get the information that you need, as well as maybe Mr. Trahan can explain it a
Sure.
little more in detail for the
Very
7th.
good. Thank you. Mrs. Ravelli?
Is this a second part-time position then? So it would be one full-time and two part-time positions? Nothing else?
Very good. Mr. Himmelberger, you're all set? You don't have a contract for us?
Well, I do, but I did not know if you wanted to do that in executive session, which we didn't request, so
You
I
didn't
could do it
post.
on the 7th.
Okay, that's fine.
Well-
Go ahead.
Are we still looking at proposing
I'm sorry,
to
the
vote
shop.
on the
Yeah.
shop?
Yep.
Um,
I'll entertain a motion, Mrs. Ravelli.
And what's my motion? So, my
Would be
motion
probably
is to,
support.
sure, to support a woodworking position, teaching position at the high school.
Good,
Second it.
thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5 in the affirmative. You have yourself a woodshop teacher. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is good news. It'd
is
be
great
nice
news.
to have that portion of the building humming again, so that's very good.
Madam
Mrs.
Chair, could I
Yes,
make a
Mrs. Walker,
comment?
please.
It's very interesting to me to see and hear Mr. Wells give us the whole gamut of education right down to the wood shop, because I know you're gonna pick up more interest and more people, and there's gonna be an excitement among those people, whether they belong to the STEM program or the wood shop. And I am prejudiced about STEM because of WPI, where I worked for so long. And there are many wonderfully qualified people there, and they will set people on fire with their minds. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Great comment. Mr. Matthew, you're up.
Thank you very much. The committee has my memo in terms of a FY14 budget update. Some of the good and some of the bad are mixed in here. Just as highlights, unfortunately, we have had a couple of move-ins at the start of the year that have required us to hire additional instructional assistants. We've also had a loss in our tuition-in program, which helps support our operating budget. That loss was approximately $65,000 in revenue, and that's one of the dangers of using tuitioned-in money to support operations. While it's wonderful to have that and to be able to utilize it to enhance our support of students. When it does go, it's not recoverable, except with a new tuition in, and I know our sped director will be looking to see if there's anybody that we might be able to draw in, as they always have. On the good side, our expected appropriation at the special town meeting is larger than initially reported. It's slated to be $64,466. 18,000 of that has been encumbered for the 11th bus at this point. We should have a reasonable answer as to whether or not we need to continue running that 11th bus in about 2 to 3 weeks, as we look at load counts as times start to change. We see that it's dark already. So I'm leaving the money encumbered for now, but there's no commitment to Durham. We can, stop that at any point in time that we feel is appropriate. Additionally, some of the staff changes through the summer have been favorable to the budget. So even with the new woodworking position, our budget is tight, but we are in balance, and we are poised for, hopefully, closing out the year on the correct side of the ledger. We have asked building principals at this point in time, because of the uncertainty of the electricity credits and the nature of them, to prioritize expenditures and really only act on those things that are an absolute priority for the time being. As the year goes on, as the additional solar farms become operational, as we can better quantify exactly what our net savings will be there, obviously, we can become a little bit freer with our funds. I don't know if there are any questions in terms of the report or my memo.
I'm all set. Being in balance is where we want to be. It's always going to be tight, but being in balance is important.
Well, it scares me that I even have to talk about it at the end of September, but that's realistically where we are. And again, the
okay.
community has done a very good job of living within our means.
Yes, definitely. Any questions from the committee? Comments? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Coonan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. One item that'll lead into another item, actually, quick. First of all, the superintendent earlier talked about the Envision Math program, and as we saw in the newspaper, our MCAS scores have been released. We'll be talking that in an upcoming meeting, and part of that discussion, just for the future, that we have addressed that deficiency that we thought that we see in the everyday math. When you talk about your sixth, 7th, 8th grade scores, it'd be interesting to see in a year or two how those scores change as this program goes forward. So, hopefully, we have a little brighter future, and I look forward to that. And secondly, to the superintendent, is when will the student scores be released to go home?
I believe those are gonna go home tomorrow. Yes, I dropped them off, personally today. So, I would expect that they would be going home tomorrow. I would expect tomorrow.
So it's safe to say, for the wide viewing audience that we have,
Yep.
is that to check the back of it and ask for the MCAS scores, because they are available and will be home this week.
Yes. Absolutely.
And this is September 23rd, if you're watching a replay. So they are available, and they will be out this week. Thanks.
It'll be part of tomorrow night's discussion also.
Wednesday night, you mean?
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr.
I mean Wednesday, I'm sorry. Watch me be here tomorrow.
Don't confuse us, don't come tomorrow.
don't
Don't
Got
come
scared
tomorrow.
for a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Coonan. Mrs. Gaucher?
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. I look forward to the community forum on Wednesday night, and I do hope that we have a big turnout. Education's important, and everyone has a voice in it. And I'll see you Wednesday night. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker?
I find these meetings get more and more interesting. I can hardly wait for the next one. Especially when we have guests who come and raise the door and the windows to additional out of the mainstream ways of improving. It's great. I'm really pleased.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Mrs. Ravelli?
Mrs. Ennis?
Hello.
I would just like to say congratulations and thank you to Mr. Wells. And it seems like our superintendent has been working hard in creating some new opportunities, especially the woodworking. I know that that's something you've been talking about to me for the past couple of years, so it must be nice finally have that, conversation come to an end, and a new conversation beginning on that one. I'll be interested to see when we fill that position and how quickly we can fill it. So, congratulations, good luck, and thank you. As for Wednesday, I'd just like to say that not only parents, but anybody in the community is really welcome to attend and should attend, because it's still your school system, whether you have children in it or not, and it's still your community. So 6:30 here, Wednesday.
I have invited our Board of Selectmen members and our town manager. I don't know, I have not received any RSVPs from them, so it'll be interesting to see who attends and joins us for that evening. And you're right, anyone is invited. We tried to make that clear as much as we could. Superintendent put out an all-call, he's gonna do another one tomorrow, right? Tomorrow evening. The all-call went off Friday night at the football game when I was working the concession stand, and everybody's phone started going off. And then, of course, everyone asked me, what's going on? So we'll see what happens. Let's hope that we have a good turnout. I hope we do. I just wanted to remind everybody, we all have to sign warrants. It can't just be a few of us. So if everyone could kind of make it a point, at least to stop in the central office at least a couple times a month to get those warrants signed, it would be appreciated. I know that Mrs. Ravelli and Mrs. Walker are pretty good for Fridays. I was in this morning at 6:45, so if we could just, you know, work on that a little bit, it would be a big help. I had something else, what the heck? I didn't write it down. Oh, I know what it was. The Booster Club, I just wanted to say, has a great start. Our first meeting, we had a few coaches, we had more parents, so that pitch that we put out is helped, it's working, and we have a lot more volunteers, a lot of people signed up. A lot of people signed up the night of the sports talk that we had. So that was very good. So we are making some, you know, kind of plowing through here. It takes time, it takes some vision, it takes some marketing, I think, on everybody's behalf, but it is working. So the involvement level I do see increasing in different areas, and that's what we've been begging for a long time. So hopefully that will continue. And that's all I have this evening. Does anyone have anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, very much.